The Time Travellers by Paul McCann. He awoke with the sound of the birds chirping outside the window of the cottage where he was staying. The owner of the cottage had gone away for a couple of weeks and asked if he could look after the place in her absence. The storyteller had always been provided for travelling around the country. Everywhere he went, he was made welcome, and everyone who met him offered him food and shelter. In return, he would bring them stories and share the news about the goings-on in different towns all around the country. He slowly got out of bed and he stoked the fire into life, and as the flames leapt from the embers, he added a few more pieces of turf onto the fireplace before sitting in the armchair. Sitting for a moment in silence, allowing the energies around him to invade his being. And then the day began like any other for him, isolated in his thoughts, captured in the moment just for a while. And though he was capturing thoughts, he was not imprisoned by them, because he was in complete control of the thoughts that came, the thoughts that were not a part of him. They just came to him, and once he was aware of their origin, he either sent them away or he kept them for some consideration for further development. The thoughts came to him like colourful images in his subconscious mind, almost like visions within. Within that medium, he took total control over them and collated them into categories and filed them away. Some thoughts were in transit from another dimension, while other thoughts were direct telepathic messages from the time travelers. He always knew when he would be visited by them, his guides, either in a physical sense, because the thoughts would materialize after they came, and they would appear right before his eyes. The time travelers walked in and out of his life like strangers on the shore, exploring and seeking life in the material world. They always brought him some information about a future place and time where he would soon have to go and travel through time portals and the door of the fourth dimension. The storyteller always enjoyed their company, and he felt privileged to be in their company. They were always able to reach him in his thoughts, and deep down in his subconscious mind, he had levels of states, like trance-like moments. And there, as he meditated deeper and deeper, he could see himself walking down the pathways and then down the steps to the gates, where he entered into a brief journey where time and thoughts disappeared completely. It was there where he usually spoke with those who used telepathic thoughts as a communication to him. And the people who spoke with him were time travelers. They were aware of the storyteller's ability to communicate with them, and they always gave him an indication when they were going to make an appearance. The storyteller had been told that they were about to visit him, and so he returned back from the deep meditation where one of the time travelers had already arrived. Smiling at him, the time traveler said, "Hello, storyteller. It's nice to see you again." The storyteller replied, "It's always nice to see you here. Welcome back home." Every time one or more of the time travelers would pay a visit, the storyteller always tried to make them feel at home. "So, storyteller, how happy I am to see you again. There is a reason I've been called back to visit you." He looked intrigued and said, "It's been a while since your last visit, and as you already know the knowledge of the ancients, which are in your keep,
Tell me. You know the future has already been written, so how are things in the fourth dimension?
I am ready.
Go now, storyteller. The doorway between our worlds is about to happen.
At that moment, the gold medallion that was around the neck of the storyteller started to glow. The door now has been established for your journey. The time traveler then vanished. Outside the window, the storyteller saw a shaft of light descend down from the sky, and inside that pillar of light there was a doorway that opened. A tall being stood at the door and urged the storyteller to come immediately. So the storyteller responded and walked through the door into the fourth dimension, where he was handed 3 books of names from the keeper of karma that were to be handed over to a small list of people in the country where the storyteller was from. The keeper of karma smiled and said, I must now go back. Then the world I know will be a better place. On his return to the third dimension, the storyteller made his way to visit the 3 people he was given, and after he passed on the book of names to each, his mission had been completed. Now the future was in the hands of those who could create a new balance of karma. And knowing that this could prevent a terrible world in the future, the storyteller smiled and went back inside the cottage and closed the door. The end.